This is Kentucky FFA Executive Secretary Matt Colliff. Today we'll be talking about how to do financial entries within AET. The video today is going to focus on some of the simpler financial entries that all students are going to make in the course of a project. So to do that, we're going to go to the Finances tab. This is the main screen in AET, and we're going to click on the Finances tab. We're going to start by doing a cash entry, which is pretty common for any kind of an entrepreneurship kind of project. So we're going to click on this button, SAE Cash Entries, and we're going to start with a cash income. So our sample student we've been working with is named Gabrielle Jones. Gabrielle has a chicken project, and so we're going to do a cash sale for some eggs. So we're going to date that today, 10/1/2020. The idea is that you would date this whatever day you were you were actually making a sale. We're going to pretend like she made a sale today. And so she sold the eggs to her neighbor who's named Susan Smith. Okay. She's going to choose the experience that's poultry production. The sale is going to be a cash market sale. And let's say that she sold 2 dozen eggs for $3 a dozen, so that would be $6. So we're just going to do that. We're going to hit save and return. And that's going to save it. Now, for example, if she had done sales maybe to 10 different people on that day and she wanted to track those separate, she could go down here and do the exact same thing. But this time we're just going to combine it into one. So we're going to save and return. And once that saves, that's then going to enter that, and that'll be in Gabrielle's records right on down the road. So we've got that saved. We see that that's showing up here. Now we're going to go back to the Finances tab, and we're going to look at how to do a cash expense. So we simply push that button, and then we click here on Cash Expense. You notice green is going to be income, red's going to be expense. So we click on that, and we're going to have to buy some chicken feed. So we're going to buy that chicken feed, and we're going to buy it from Lone Star Supply. This is for our chicken projects. We're going to go poultry production. Our type, we're going to go scroll down through here and find what it is. Of course, this time it's feed, so it's at the top of the list. Feed, and we're going to say we bought $10 worth of chicken feed today. That could be whatever number we wanted to, and then we're going to hit save and return. Once our computer catches up, that's going to save Gabrielle's cash expense for the project, and that's going to show. Anytime we want to review that, we can go to this screen. We can actually look, if we click on Finances, we can go here and review our financial entries on this button, and we can see all the financial entries that we have. We can sort those. Obviously, Gabrielle's only got 1 year, but we can sort them by year if the student has 4 or 5 years of records, and we can really quickly look at it and see where we are in terms of the total project, what's going on, and what's happening there. So we'll go back to Finances. We can also, by the way, say that we can sort by experience. So for example, if she had chickens and goats and ducks, we could sort by experience here. We could also sort by accounting category. So we could sort everything, every feed expense. We pull all of Gabrielle's feed expenses for the year if we wanted to sort that way. We're going to go back to Finances now, and we're going to do a non-cash entry for Gabrielle's project. There's lots of different non-cash entries that we can make, and this is pretty common within a student SAE project. And so we're going to talk through some of those. There's different ones you can make and different reasons you would make it. So an SAE labor exchange is the first one we're going to do. We'll click on that. Basically, this is where a student is just exchanging labor with, usually with mom and dad, in exchange for feed or rent or something like that. And so let's say, for example, that Gabrielle is going to exchange labor with her mom and dad. She's going to mow the yard in exchange for her chicken feed. And so what she would do is every time she mowed the yard, she would put in, so she mows the yard, she figures that's worth $20 to mow the yard. So she's going to put in $20 today because she mowed the yard. That's a labor exchange. It's going as a feed expense. And we could down here in the memo put something like mowed yard for feed if we wanted to. We don't have to, obviously, but we would hit save. Obviously, these other categories are here. Often students are doing something like this in exchange for veterinary expenses. So mom and dad are paying the vet bill, but they're working for mom and dad in exchange for that. It could also be chemicals or seed or rent, even fuel or custom work. If we're in a production kind of project and dad is baling our hay for us or combining our corn, we could be working for dad in exchange for that contract or custom amount. Ideally, this gets tracked every time it happens. So if we mow the yard every 2 weeks, we would do this every 2 weeks. If it's a situation where maybe we're going to do it at the end of the month or even the end of the year, we can do that. We just want to calculate the total value of the work done as it relates to the total value that we received for that. So we're going to save that. When we hit save that, it's going to ask us to journal just to enter what those skill areas are. And so that skill area, she's mowing the yard, so we're going to put that under plant systems, and we're going to go down to, we're going to do this one. So we're going to show that. We're going to save and go back to journal entry, and then we're going to hit save. She worked for that project, she worked 2 hours, we'll say. So we're going to go ahead and save that. So we've got that captured. If we want to go back and look at some other non-cash entries, so we'll go back again here to non-cash. A non-SAE labor exchange. This could be something we're doing completely outside of our SAE. So for example, maybe we're babysitting for mom and dad in exchange for that. We could do that entry that way. We'll cancel that. We can do a transfer or barter. This is fairly important in a livestock project if we're transferring, for example, we have a heifer calf and we're going to transfer her into a breeding herd. We can do that. But we could also, if we had 2 or 3 different projects, transfer inventories. If we had cattle and hogs, we might transfer feed. A good example would be if we had hay, a hay production SAE, and a cattle SAE. We could transfer hay from the hay production to the cattle. What that's going to do is show an income on the hay project, and it's going to show an expense on the cattle, which is correct in terms of if we had a forage production proficiency and then a cattle production proficiency, it would show that transfer for us. We'll go back to the finances and look at these other non-cash expenses. We can also receive a gift. That happens fairly often. A student is given something by mom and dad. In this case, we're going to say that Grandma gave Gabrielle $10 worth of, and we're going to say this time that Grandma gave her $10 worth of supplies. So maybe some kind of medicine for chickens or something like that. But we're going to say Grandma gave her the supplies. We'll put down here in the gift. Grandma gift of supplies. So we're going to click there and put in that unearned income for that project. We also have the option here if grandma or mom or anybody else gives us something else related to the project, some kind of equipment. Anytime we talk about non-current, we're talking about equipment or breeding animals or something like that. So if somebody gives us that, we would click here. We would put in the value of that. So we're going to say that somebody gave her a chicken feeder. So we're going to put in the value of that chicken feeder is $25. We're going to categorize that. That's going to be machinery or equipment. So we're going to say here, chicken feeder. We can describe that out if we want to. We're going to talk more about depreciation in a different video, but we're going to say that she got one of those. We're going to put the salvage value at $10, and we're going to leave it on a 10-year depreciation. So we're just going to hit save on that. And that's going to enter Gabrielle's chicken feeder and show that she got that as a gift from a family member. Let's look at 2 more non-cash entries, or 3 more. One is used at home. This would be very, very common for her with her eggs. If she had either eggs that she couldn't sell or she was just keeping eggs to use at home, she would click on used at home. So this week she put a dozen eggs in the refrigerator at home to keep. So she's just showing that, and she's going to say 1 dozen eggs is a memo. Again, she's going to hit save, and we're going to have that dozen eggs showed up. We're going to show actually that we did something with that dozen eggs. We can also transfer to a non-current asset. This is where, again, it shows here where this is really common is if we're transferring a heifer that we raised on the farm, and we're putting her in the breeding herd. We could do the same thing with a sow or with a goat, something like that. And then this labor exchange for a non-current item would be if we were transferring, if we were working in exchange for a piece of equipment, maybe. So for example, Grandpa has a tractor and he says, if you'll work for me this summer in hay at the end of the summer, I'll give you the tractor. That's a way that's how we would track that and track that coming into our project. I want to show you one more thing that's fairly common and fairly often used within the financial tab, and that's this SAE paycheck. Now this is where if you're a placement student, so you're working for somebody else, you're getting paid for it, this is how you're going to enter that income. So we're going to click on the SAE paycheck. Gabrielle, if you remember, works at Mount Vernon Florist, so she's in a placement job. And she's going to do this every time she gets paid. So she gets paid once a week, once a month, whatever that is, she's going to enter her paycheck each time she gets paid. So we're going to say, we're going to go backwards on this, but we're going to say that she worked 5 hours this month. And we're going to say, just for ease of math, that she worked, that she got paid $10 an hour. So that would mean she got paid, her gross was $50. We're going to say that $8 was held for taxes. She would find that on her pay stub, obviously. And she had no expenses. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and we're going to save. And then so Gabrielle, each time she got paid, she's going to go in and enter that paycheck exactly that same way. And you see then that that's going to show up on this list of all of her income. It's going to show up on her financial entries down here as an income. Again, the idea with these cash entries, these things we've talked about today, these need to be made on a regular basis. So ideally, every time the student gets paid, sells something or buys something, go ahead and put this information in, and that way you've got it, you can track it always. So what I recommend to people is either, ideally you do it that day. So you bring your receipts home, sit down at the computer and put those in the computer. If not, have a folder for those and have a time every week that you're going to make those entries within SAE. Thanks for watching. Our next video, we'll talk about some of the more complicated things over on this side of the page. But hopefully these are the things that you need on a day-to-day basis to make sure your records in AET are accurate, up-to-date, and complete.